Now, I'm a little bit of a rebellious spirit, I guess, because when people tell me how my life's going to be, I go, oh, really? Let's see about that. And so I said, well, I don't know if this is the best it can get, but we're going to find out. So I enrolled in a PhD program to learn is there a way to holistically fix my brain?
Welcome to Holistic Circle podcast, Spiritual Conversation. My name is Philipp Kobald. We are reaching out to people who are passionate about spreading light, love, and joy. And today I have Dr. Sarah Young with me. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, Phil. Thank you so much for having me. I love your title, Holistic Circle. There's no edges. Everything is inclusive and whole and continuing.
Thank you very much. I hope so. That's how I would describe myself.
Very good. Perfect.
All right. We already had the pre-excitement in setting up this recording. Our viewers don't know it, but podcasting is a very exciting business, especially when technique is involved. And like always, I want to say thank you to our viewers. This show is for you and about you. On my website, holisticcircle.com, there's a questionnaire. You can ask me the questions you want me to ask the guests. You can tell me which guest you want me to invite. And so I'm sitting here for you to ask your questions and invite the people that you want to hear on my show. So I'm always excited to get your suggestion. I'm always happy to follow up. And with this, I would love very much to give us a quick intro in your exciting life and maybe a bit of a background before my super smart and intriguing questions are coming your way.
Sure, Phil. So my name is Dr. Sarah Young, and I wear a lot of hats. So I'm a medical speech pathologist, and I recently got my PhD and doctorate in quantum integrative medicine. And before any of those things, I'm actually a minister as well. And I really feel like that part should be said first, because all the work that I do in the world, all the things that I'm here doing, it's in service to the love and the light that is of God, right? So, yeah.
Oh, that's an introduction. I mean, and I think we should pick them on one at a time. Of course, you also have a book online and you do all kind of services and all the links and information for people who are interested in Dr. Sarah's work. We Europeans have a problem because I could say Dr. Young, but Dr. Sarah sounds very odd. So how should I address you?
I really like Dr. Sarah, but Phil,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty
I go for
laid
it.
back, so you don't even have to say Dr. Sarah. You can just say Sarah if you're more comfortable with that, and I'm just happy to have a great conversation with you.
Can you maybe give us a quick background and when you started this journey, and is this like a formal educational background? I don't know very little about how this works in
Sure,
the US.
yeah. So I was ordained through the movement of spiritual inner awareness, and that was back in 2010 before I started my educational journey. And I went to the University of Tennessee and I got my bachelor's in psychology, and then I went on to get my master's in speech language pathology, which is like a mouthful, but really, if you think about speech language pathology, we don't just help people to speak, but we can help people with memory and word finding, breathing, coughing, swallowing. So the list of things under that is pretty large. And then back in 2000...
How old?
Yeah?
How old were you as when you became minister?
20... Well, that's a great question. 24 or 26, maybe? Yeah. So it feels like forever ago.
So it's your upbringing, it's a religious background or personal interest or calling. I guess that's what my viewers want to know.
Yeah, it's what I was born to do. I guess I would say that it's who I am. It's the embodiment of everything that I do, Phil. So no matter if I'm working with a patient in home health as a speech pathologist, or I'm working with a client through my private business, Neurosynergy Integrative Health, before I do any of those things, I I go inside and I call on the light and I pray and I ask that God be infused into everything I do. I really feel like part of why I'm on the planet is to bring more loving and bring more light and to help people tap into their loving and their light. And that can be really hard to do in a dark world sometimes. So I keep a lot of reminders all around me. Some of them are behind me now. And I try to, I've had some pretty dark stuff happen in my life, Phil, but I don't know if you can always have sunshine without some storms, right? So I'm grateful that God has allowed me to take all those really terrible things that I have experienced and gone through, and instead of letting those things defeat me, God allowed me to use that as a strengthener and as a stepping stone, and to then use those experiences to help other people to go through whatever they were going through. And that might be the death of their parents, or it might be a car accident, or it might be, there's so many things that I can relate to because of my experience that it just infuses just a different level into the work that I do when I work with human beings, because we make mistakes and we aren't designed to be perfect. But yet at the same time, we have this expectation that we're not supposed to make mistakes, or that we're supposed to be perfect, or, oh, I said the wrong thing. Oh, I didn't spell it correctly. Oh, bad on me. But really, like, Phil, we're designed to make mistakes. We're designed to continue and to level up and make a better choice the next time. There's always another opportunity. So hopefully I can bring some loving and light and transformation into the world. And that's really why I wake up in the morning.
So sad that we don't have 3 hours scheduled, because there's like a zillion questions and more that I actually would have for you. And I'm completely going crazy here on my side, because I'm dying to have all of these conversations, but that's not why we're here. We want to talk about your main work and the stuff that you're doing and the services that you provide. But I could talk about your
Phil,
minister.
I would love to answer any questions that you have. We do not need to focus on my work with my business. I'm here for your audience. That's what I'm showing up for. I've spent a lot of time chatting with podcasters about the what of neurosynergy, the brain of neurosynergy, but with you and your audience, I would like to talk about the why, and I would like to talk about the heart. So if anybody has some questions and you want to ask me what those are, I'm happy to pivot with you.
That is so kind of you, because it is there are a couple of things, right? First of all, beside the honest questions I have for your calling and your motivation and how you feel about this, there's also a massive trend out there right now. The religion is becoming back popular in Europe. I'm talking about the US. It's a whole different ballgame. I'm aware of it. But Europe was very much anti-religious for a long time, not in a negative way, nothing like that. Just basically, yes, whatever. It's a beautiful church, nice to see from outside. And, I believe, but I don't have to do anything about it. And now it's becoming, again, a trend. So this is a hot subject. But you said something that actually really triggered me like crazy, because there is this understanding how to deal with trauma. Trauma is all over the place. And so many times in the back of my head, I say, well, in the old days, you would go to church, you would have here a support group, you would have a community of people who are praying, and they would help you through birth, they would help you through life, they would help you to deal with death, and they would help you also in marriage crisis and things like that. So we used to have an established system that actually worked. And you go on Sunday, you had the Sunday ritual, which I think is fantastic, that you make time once a week in the family, you do something together. And something else that is very big on my podcast is that you had certain times of the year where you ate certain food or you didn't eat. So time slowed down naturally through these limitations. And I think there's a ton of positive wisdom that we just seem to have lost.
I understand exactly what you mean. And I was just chatting with somebody about that today. As human beings, we're designed to be in movement. Our blood is designed to continuously move through our body. Our air is meant to be continuously exchanged. We're moving creatures, but we live in a world now with all of our technology and our advancements that most people are on the computer a lot of their day, or they're in front of a screen. They're not moving their bodies because we don't hunt and gather anymore like we used to. At least, I don't know what it's like there in Austria, but I know here everybody uses a car. Nobody's walking places. We're not, obviously we're not hunting and gathering, right? But we're driving everywhere. Most people aren't moving their bodies very much. The things that are being sold at the grocery stores are nutritionally deficient and loaded with things that are inflammatory and cause our bodies to not function very well. But yet we're living in a world and a society where we're all raised to be kind of programmed to eat certain foods and be a certain way and live a certain life. And I guess that I would say that sometimes it's okay to ask myself, is that working for me? Is it working for me to just go with the status quo? I love that you said that people in Europe are getting revived about the spirit, right? Regardless if you call it religion or you call it spirituality, everybody has their own vocabulary words. But really what I really love about that is something inside of Europe is saying we are more than this, right? Who we are is more than this. And you're looking, I think you're looking in the right place. It's a beautiful thing. I think that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing it.
Absolutely. And I like what you said about movement, of course, very much. That's exactly part of the problem. And for me, it's an inward-outward movement. And people looking these days salvation within themselves or in some kind of a narcissistic activity. Is it the inner abuse or self-pleasement? All of this constant self-pleasement, while what you're talking about is an outward salvation through a group of people who are praying or for God itself, never mind. I'm never sure what is of more value. That is my personal opinion. Is it a group or is it the spirit? But who cares? Basically, it should be one anyway. So it's a just philosophical approach. And I guess this idea of a group of people who are searching for love and light, and that is something that we all hope will come back a lot. So I think we're in agreement. So maybe before we go too deep into it, please tell us a bit of your work, and that would be really nice what you do. Let's move on a bit, and then I'm sure I'll hold it and come back.
Sure. So by day, I am a medical speech pathologist and I work in the home care space. And in the evening and on the weekend, I'm building a private business, a private practice where I work with individuals that would like to be in better alignment. And what I am providing people is multidimensional care, Phil. The holes for me in getting better and healing in many different things that I've needed to heal within myself is that it's so piecemeal, right? Somebody's got this pill. Somebody's got this suggestion over here, or this one thing. But really, in my experience with healing, for it to be complete, I've got to look at not just the physical body, but I've got to look at, what do I think about myself? What do I think about healing? What do I feel? What does this food make me feel like, right? What is my environment? How is my environment affecting me? So really getting into that awareness space, and not only just your environment, like your floor and your walls and your ceiling, but no, like who you interact with on a daily basis. Who are you? What are you reading, right? What are you digesting doesn't necessarily mean what are we eating, because we're digesting things also when we read information or we watch a movie or we see something violent happen on TV. Your consciousness is reacting to that in some way, shape, or form. So what my work is it's kind of like I see you, Phil, as a multidimensional being. You're not just your skin, your bones, and your hair, right? Yes, you have a brain and you have a heart and you have a gut, and all that's true. And we want all that to be balanced. And there's a lot of natural, holistic ways of doing that. But I take it a step further because I want to say, And there's other layers to you, Phil, right? You have thoughts that you think, you have belief systems, you have cultural ideas and perceptions and values and morals, and they might be different than mine, right? And that's okay, because we can celebrate that. And you're your mind and you're your emotions and you're your physical body and you're all these things. But if I look at you as who you really are, in my belief, in my heart, who you are is a soul, right? You're a divine light. You're a child of God. So you're part of that. And I can honor that in you. I can honor the light in you and think of you in that way and help you with all those other layers that help you to be more whole, because we're not really just one part of ourselves. We are multiple aspects and layers of different things, of experiences and relationships and belief processes. And we're a lot more complex than that. And so what I'm here to offer the world is like, I see you in all your complexity, and let's figure it out together and let's raise up.
The question I'd like to ask in this moment, so what is your major people that contact you? What are their concerns? Is it physical, mental? What are the biggest group of people that you're treating? That's always helpful for the audience.
I think that most of the people that come to see me, they're not sleeping well, they're forgetting things, they're not able to get their words to come out, their communication might be a little off.
Out of tune.
They're out of tune. That's it right there. Beautiful vocabulary on that. I love that. So they're out of tune, and what I'm doing is I'm bringing them into resonance, bringing them into balance.
You're helping them reharmonize.
That's it. That's it, Phil.
There you go.
And we all have the capacity to do that, right? But I think it's because I've had...
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely. We all have the capacity to reharmonize. It's really not...
All our own... It's an interesting one.
Not necessarily.
There you go.
See, because the thing is, you got to have the tools in your toolbox, and it's usually not just one thing. So I think of myself more as a guide that has been through all these toolboxes, and I've used these tools in so many different capacities in my life. And now I'm just sharing with you how to build your own toolbox. And it's not a toolbox just for now until you get better. The toolbox I want to help you build is a toolbox that you're going to carry with you for the rest of your life. And that's going to help you to continue to improve for the rest of your life. If I can teach people, if I can teach people how to love themselves and care for themselves and keep themselves healthy, then they can rely on themselves to keep themselves in harmony.
But you see yourself more like a vessel of all of this, the spirits above, but also the technical things that you learned and you started all the series. You're mixing all of this together, and then you're holding this space, and you so people can harmonize through you for your help with that. That's basically, did I understand this correctly? So it's a holistic way you try to see the people as a whole.
That's the best way I've ever heard anybody describe what I do. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean, that's why it's a Holistic Circle podcast. If I don't understand you, who will?
Yeah, a lot of times
it's in the name.
Trying to explain, like, what do you do? It's like, well, I do this, and I do this, and I do that, and I do that too. And it's like, well, how do you explain that? It's like, well, we're all of those things. None of us are just a body or just the way we think about stuff. Everything interacts with everything else.
I'd like to ask quickly, so the people that come to you, they search you specifically. I mean, your website is very, let's say, esoteric. The people have a pre-understanding, or do really people come who are very solid, like classic, like businessmen, and then they're surprised, or you already have people who are inclined to be open for it, or you have to go through the process of making people aware, because I'm interested in this process, or your main clientele already knows what they're getting into?
I would say it like this, Phil. I mean, we are all as unique. Every single human being on the planet is unique. And so, I don't know, my spiritual teacher really has helped me develop in such a way where I love to honor the uniqueness of everyone. And so not everyone needs the same thing. Not everyone, you have a different relationship with every person that you meet. And every person that you meet has a different perception of you than you do.
Okay. So you mean you're holding a neutral space?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know what you do.
Yeah.
That's always a very mean answer, but I know it's true, so I take it.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It can be as complex or as simple as that individual and whatever part of the journey that they're on. And, the journey, it's always continuing. Right. We're all in movement. Because
it wouldn't anyway work if you don't want to be a mirror. We want to be the light and not the mirror, because otherwise this is exactly what bad therapy versus good therapy is basically, the projection. And I get it. Because it's interesting to me how people approach these things from the individual perspective. Now I have to ask a question. I'm asking my questions today. This horrible podcast, and yet you will be the next. I'm so fascinated by change, the concept of change and the willingness of change. It's one of my pet thinkings, because most people change only for hitting the wall, right? Something happens, they hit the wall, and now they are like vulnerable and so on and so forth. And then they usually have a crossroad to choose. Either they go down the rabbit hole, alcohol abuse, whatever, or they basically reach out. That's what it is. Do you have come across, because there are people, and I think it's so interesting, who just wake up one morning, nothing happened, no problem, no hitting the wall, who said, well, I'll change. And I find these people wonderfully fascinating and interesting.
I love the idea of that. It didn't work that way for me. Before I am who I am.
That's my question.
Yeah. So before I am the person you see that's bright and bubbly and loving, I had some dark years, and I didn't really want to be here anymore at one point. And on the other side of that experience is when I kind of returned to life a little bit differently, a little bit lighter, a little bit brighter. And I just decided that I'm going to do whatever I can to make the world better. I really felt that at the time, I'm going to excuse my language, but life was shit. Life was shit. There was trauma. There was abuse. There was a lot of bad things, a lot of things that make you think there's no good in the world, right? The world can be like that. And I'm sure everybody in the audience has something they can pull from where they can go, I know what you mean, that gut-wrenching feeling like it has to get better than this. And I had, that on the other side of that experience is actually when I met my spiritual teacher and the movement of spiritual inner awareness, and the light kind of came into my life, not just metaphorically, but literally too. And I just decided I wanted to be better. But Phil, transformation for me hasn't been like one day I woke up on the other side of that and now I'm me. That's not what that looked like. So it was many different steps along the way of what that looked like. So I was a minister, but then I'm always leveling up. I'm always trying to figure out how I can be better. In fact, it's kind of like a daily do. It's like a video game for me, Mario or any video game where you have to get through level 1 to get to level 2. I kind of do my life like that. So I give myself little mini goals that I have to meet, and then I celebrate them, even if it's like, you're going to have a sip of water every hour because you didn't do that yesterday. And then when I do that sip of water every day, it's like, get it, girl, you did it. We did it. So celebrate yourself. I think that's so important that we recognize the good things in our life, but that doesn't mean that I never feel the darkness either, right? So I have days where I look around the world and it's like, whew, I don't know if I can do this today. It's sad and it's dark. And sometimes it's like, well, what's the point? And it's like, well, you're the point, because you can show up and you can choose to tell somebody a positive thing. You can choose to give someone a hug today. You can choose to say many blessings to you and brighten someone's day, or I can choose to, be upset and sad and angry. So transformation and change, Phil, is something for me personally, and I don't know about any of you, but I have to continually choose into it. And one new choice isn't usually going to stick. It's like I want to do this one thing and I have to be persistent on that change, right? And I'm probably going to mess it up a lot of times before I actually am successful in doing that. So like my PhD program, I started that with a brain injury, on the other side of a brain injury, and I would listen to all the lectures, read all the text, do all the things, and then I would go to take the test, and I couldn't remember anything enough to take the test. So what did I have to do? Well, I had to start all over. I had to read all the lectures and listen to all the audiobooks, read all the articles, and I had to do the whole thing again. And at the very beginning of my program, that wasn't only 2 times I had to do that. I had to do that 4 or 5 times for each of the classes that I completed. By the end of the program,
I think you lost our audience here a bit. They have not read your bio background.
Oh.
So you studied brain injury, or you experienced it, or just please, just 2 minutes, make it more clear for the people what is here the background, because you said about speech pathology, that's what you had a PhD, but I know that you did other things as well.
Yeah. So
just quick.
Yeah. Real quick. As I was working as a medical speech pathologist in the hospital, I had a car accident on my way to work, driving in the rain. And that resulted in a brain injury. And I had to basically relearn driving and balancing as I walked, and being able to remember my words and being able to organize my thoughts. I had to rebuild not only just those parts, but I had to rebuild my entire nervous system. It was anxious all the time. It was popping off angry for no reason. This was, the body trying to recover. And when it seemed all hopeless, like this is your new normal and this is how your life is going to be now, I'm a little bit of a rebellious spirit, I guess, because when people tell me how my life's going to be, I go, oh, really? Let's see about that. And so I said, well, I don't know if this is the best it can get, but we're going to find out. So I enrolled in a PhD program to learn is there a way to holistically fix my brain? I don't know. I really didn't think so, but if there was, I was going to find it in that program. So that was what I was referencing when I was saying about persistence, right? As I recovered from my brain injury and I did that PhD program, I had trouble remembering because of the injury. And so I had to repeat class content like 4 or 5 times, learning it, relearning it, forgetting it, relearning it.
Neurobrain science, or what is it precisely? Neurobrain science, or what is the PhD?
Integrative medicine. Quantum integrative medicine. So if I'm going to describe what is quantum integrative medicine, so if you think of the hospital, wherever you live, you've got physicians and yeah?
Sorry, just 1 second, just so that the audience really understand, through your experience, through that car accident, what happened, you had, if you want or not, to go further, to deeply learn and develop, and basically through your own search, for your own hitting this literally hitting something with the car,
yep.
You said, okay, I can either go further and know more and learn more to, in the first step, help myself, but then also get a so much deeper insight. And now that's what you use to help others. So is this maybe just to people understand that there's always layers on layers, and that's what you explained. We have a minister layer, we have speech pathology, and now we have quantum. So this is layer on layer on layer, and that's what you bring into the table. It's a young but already very full life of complications and growth, so that people follow us with your story.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I don't remember
You want to explain what quantum medicine is?
Yeah. Quantum integrative medicine. So if you want to know, I'm going to start with just the integrative medicine part of it, which is, so if you think about your local hospital, you've got nurses and physicians, like you were talking about earlier, and they prescribe medication, they might perform surgery. We might think of that as like Western medicine. And then on the other side of the coin, you've got natural medicine, which has been practiced for millennia in China and Japan, and I'm sure in Europe too, in India. Plant-based medicine, light, sound, vibration. There's a pretty long list of what can fall under natural medicine. So sometimes natural medicine people in the history, not all of them, they might think, oh, we should only do natural medicine. And the Western medicine people might say we should only do Western medicine. But integrative medicine is like taking a little bit of that and a little bit of that, and then they get married. So it's looking at it from not only the medical point of view and that philosophy and that training, but also that other point of view of what's natural and what's holistic and what all these other layers are. So Quantum University is based in Hawaii, and their whole program is really heavily based in quantum physics and consciousness studies. So that adds a whole wonderful, complex, beautiful layer into healing. So you could check out, there's a lot of work that's been done there, but yeah.
And that's why you wrote a very thick and heavy and academically book, right?
Yeah. So naturally, because I started my PhD program wondering what can we do to help the brain holistically was the question when I enrolled in 2020. By the time it was time for me to write my dissertation, I had, almost 5 years of collected summaries that I had written on articles and books that I had collected throughout the journey. So it just seemed natural to write my dissertation on quantum integrative medicine and brain injury and kind of turn that into a conglomerate. And my dissertation mentor asked me, how are you going to share your work with people who don't believe in natural medicine? And when he asked me that, I thought, well, I don't know, because a lot of times people that when they have a certain way of thinking about things, it's not always easy to have an open mind, right? Sometimes people think the way they think and that's it and that's all, and they're not going to move from their...
The problem?
Yeah, they're not going to move from their position. So I said, I don't know. But then I'm trained in the medical field. So what do clinicians want? They want the evidence. They want the research. They want the references. They need to know that what I'm sharing with them is not woo-woo. It's real science. So I took the dissertation and I kind of revamped it a bit to make it more like a clinician's guide that's chocked full of like 600 different references on why this is science, and it's not woo-woo, but it's a little bit of both, right? Because when you mix science with spirit, there's always a little bit of mysticalness there.
We are losing the audience. Is there a way, or there's no way to bring it down on a very basic level? So first of all, which main brain injuries are you talking about? Just make it very simple so everyone can follow. Are we really talking trauma or stuff like that, or something that's physically this or that? Maybe you can quick help the people, and then let's maybe give an example of the therapies that might be used. Could it be sound, or is it medical, or so that people can get a practical understanding of how that would look like, if it's possible to make it so simple.
So when an individual is experiencing not being in tune, there are many different factors that likely play a role in that. So nutrition, movement.
In the brain, we talk about brain.
Everything.
Brain.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
In the brain, Phil, it's connected to everything else.
Right.
Your brain does everything.
As an ordinary person, if I hear brain injury, I would not necessarily look at nutrition as an ordinary person.
I know. I did not either until I learned what I know now. You're absolutely right. And that's one of the big things that I like to teach the clients that I work with is how to use medicinal foods to help you heal better, because there absolutely is medicinal healing power in foods. And there's absolutely specific things that help the brain to be in balance. And there's also specific things that cause toxicity. And a lot of people are not eating enough of very specific foods, which carry very specific nutrients, and their brain's all out of whack. And that might look like emotional instability or emotional lability. It might look like brain fog. It might look like a lot of different things.
Will this show up in brain scans and so on? Would you see this, so to say, brain injuries? Would there be hard data that you have as a starting point?
Not necessarily, because a CT scan doesn't always get everything. So it's good for some things and not for other things. There are different types of brain scans, such as like a MRI or a functional magnetic resonance imaging. Without getting too complicated, you can absolutely do brain scans, but for the work that I'm doing, you would want to do something called a SPECT scan, which more looks at the functions in different regions of your brain, where an MRI is going to tell you if there's damage. So I guess the difference between like a traditional PCP or primary care physician is they're kind of trained to come in when the accidents happened, when everything's like the red lights, everything's in the red, everything's in the crisis mode. Whereas what we try to do in integrative medicine is we want to prevent you from getting to a place where you're stroking, because it's preventative. We don't want to wait until you have a stroke and then treat you for your stroke. We would like to teach you how to keep your body in balance and in resonance to prevent that from happening to you. And that might be different for everyone, because some people have a more, genetic predisposition to having high cholesterol. So they might need to treat their body and their health differently than someone that doesn't have that genetic predisposition. So we're all very unique. I don't know if that answered your question. I know we're all over the place, but we're talking about a lot of different, aspects of things.
Talking to you, and with your background, we are a bit all over the place in a good way. I mean, that's exactly the integrated. The word makes sense in your case. You cannot just come from one little corner and look at the whole person. Mm-hmm. So that's what you want. If you want to sit in front of a doctor that looks at you, then you will have to come to a doctor like you, who actually is able to look at you from the soul, from the physics, from all of these elements, and also from your personal experience. All of it is needed to really open the eye and see you as you are. So, I mean, I guess people should expect that we're all over the place. And if we are all over the place, I'd like to bring it back to the beginning now a bit, because the soul, I just mentioned, you're able to see the light and the soul. Where does this factor in with you? Where's your personal opinion? Not maybe the scientific element, but where do you personally factor it in, the soul?
Well, I mean, I guess that's the foundation of who I see us all to be, Phil. So the way that I view every person in front of me is that you are a divine child of God, and you are, and I also pray and I say, please bring to me those people that you would have me to lift. Please bring to me those people you would have me to help. Help me to have your light work through my eyes, through my hands, through my words. Let your light touch to every doorknob that I open, right? So if you look at it the way that I look at it, I see you as a soul first, Phil, before I see you as a human that makes mistakes, that has a body, like all that stuff. Underneath all of that, we're all doing the best we can with what we have and what we know. And if any of us could be doing any better right now in this moment that we're in, we would totally be doing better. Of course we would, right? So I guess I just, when I have relationships with people, even if it's somebody I'm passing in the store, I just always remember that they're a gift, even if they may not always act like it. Like the guy that cut me off in traffic today and nearly caused an accident, he's a soul too. Underneath all that aggression, Like if you go deeper than that, he too is a child of God. He too is of light. So why should I cuss him for cutting me off when I can bless him instead? It could be an opportunity for me to bless instead of be reactionary, right?
Me too. Thank you. But I before we go there where we are going, I'd like to go a micro step back and just would like to have your opinion, because yes, you are a minister, but yes, you are a physician, and yes, you are integrated. So yes, all of these things are a yes. So I would like to, again, for you the soul, because this podcast is full with clairvoyant people. This podcast is full with people with very specific opinion about the soul and how it functions. This podcast is full with professors who teach religion and stuff like that.
Wonderful.
So this is what my daily business basically. And I'm always interested. I heard so many ideas about, of course, consciousness. I had a couple of very great famous professors who research consciousness here on the show. So, but now we're talking about the soul. I would like, before we go into the light conversation that we just had a bit back, do you see the soul as part of the heart or the heart-brain connection? Do you see it as elusive? So first of all, do you think it's really connected in some part with the human body as a thing? So that's a standard question. And if so, do you think it's connected with the heart-brain memory cells around? That's what a lot of Sufis believe, as you know for sure. So are we going down that road? Another thing is, do you see that the soul transition is a big conversation? So I would like to ask you more on a physical level, do you see the soul as a real thing or more as a transcendental thing?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I see the soul as part of our extension of who we are. So what we know scientifically, Phil, is we can actually measure the light that humans emit. They're called biophotons. So we can see that human beings emit light. We can actually also measure the electromagnetic field around the brain, around the heart. And we can measure acupoints and we can see different movements for chakras and things like that. So a lot of that stuff is invisible. It's not stuff that I can't like look at you through the camera and see your electromagnetic field of your heart and how big it is and how it takes up the room. I can't, right? And my idea of the soul, it's inherently who we are, but it's more of a consciousness, a field, an energy that comes into the body. I consider this my meat suit, so I don't consider this to be who I am, but I consider it to be who I am right now. And I mean, I'm not telling anyone how you should or shouldn't believe. I believe that however you believe is perfect for you, and however I believe is perfect for me too. So we can meet each other in that space, and that's all well and good. I also believe that none of us are really from here, like Earth, the human experience that it is. I consider it more, the physical body, more as a classroom where I'm in this body because I can learn all kinds of things in this body that I wouldn't be able to learn in any other way. And when my soul has learned what it's here to learn, I won't need my meat suit anymore, and I'll go back to where I'm actually from. That's my belief, but I don't say that to say that I'm right and I'm the only one that's right and you should think what I think. Not at all. I don't want anyone to do that. I want you to believe what works for you, what's in your heart, and what you know to be true, and I agree with you with whatever that might be for you.
That's one hot topic, so to say. Some people believe, if they believe in the soul, some people believe that the soul is given to you by birth and that it's within you and is growing and transforming, and when you die, the soul moves on. And there are some people say that the soul, yes, is within us, but there's always a link if we accept it or nourish it. Are you one of the people who believes in the link?
I think that we can all choose into, when you say link, it translates to me to connection. And I think that it's not that...
The link above.
Yes, but you can tune into that link if you choose to do that. It's just that we live in a world right now, especially, I don't know what it's like over there, but we got a lot of people walking around with no awareness that they even have a link or where that
the
link.
zombie walk.
Yeah. They don't know where that link goes. They don't know that there is a link. All they see is what's going on here in the bodies, in the world, and they're reactive, and they have forgotten about everything else. But I think that, yeah, of course, you have a connection to, that's the way that I believe. That doesn't mean you have to believe that too, again. But yes, I believe we all have a direct line, a direct connection to the divine. Absolutely.
Because I think that's the key element where the whole Western civilization right now is standing, right? I think we are somehow in a global crossroad where the datas are overwhelming that this soul and this link could be a major contribution to individual help in salvation and can be experienced through many different ways. At the other side, people are more zombie than ever. They completely cut off. They're even using the devices to cut them off even harder and even further. So we have this very extreme polarity right now, not only in US politics, which is very polar at the moment, and many other countries experience this as well. But we also see that there are more and more people who said, no, we need to have a link. We need to have this connection, either in the group or directly to the divine. It basically doesn't matter. As long as we are linked, we're harmonizing, and it has huge health benefits. And while the others are extremely unlinking themselves, it's even they're putting now chips inside of the brain to have a computer interface. I mean, even that, it gets more and more insane how people would do lobotomy. I mean, it's just like a new electronic lobotomy, totally de-link ourselves, and maybe, interesting, relink to some global artificial intelligence godness, whatever that's supposed to be.
Right.
But I don't want to know. But things are getting worse by the minute.
Right, I understand. The struggle is real, yes.
I mean, it's for free to link yourself to the divine. All you do is pray a little. No, they want to put a chip inside and link themselves to an artificial entity. I mean, things are getting weird by the minute.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
Yes. So I'm very fascinated, and you must see these things. I guess you must feel and see the same worries that I have, I guess.
Absolutely, I do. And I think we talked about that a little bit pre-show, is that it can be really challenging to live an intentional life, that my intention every day is to bring more light, more loving into the world. Sometimes that can be super challenging when the world seems to want to try to take you out. And I don't know how driving is there, but I can tell you that I drive to clients' homes all day long, and the amount of people that try to purposely cause me to have an accident and be harmed because they're upset with me going the speed limit is unbelievable. I would never intentionally hope harm on anyone. So that's just one example, but it can be hard to, things like that to occur, and me still to show up and say, how can I help you today? How can I love you today? How can I help you be more loving with you today?
This is very unusual. This is you're going more to the client. They're not coming to your. Can you tell us why is that so? Is there a reason behind why you're doing it that way?
Well, what I was referring to is part of the work. So I have two different, positions right now. One of them, I'm a medical speech pathologist. I work in the home care space. So I'm ordered to go out and work with people. They've had strokes, they've had brain injuries, they could have dementia, they could have Parkinson's, difficulty with swallowing. So I go out and I help rehabilitate them and get them as close to back to life as normally as we can get it, and helping with all of that along the way. And with neurosynergy, integrative health, which is my other business, it can go either way. So sometimes I work with people virtually because they're not local. And other times it works better for the person for many different reasons. Some of those reasons are people are more comfortable in their homes, Phil. Their guard is down, they feel more at ease. And it's really important in the healing space to have that relaxation and that feeling at home. So it's different for everyone. Some people want to do it in their home. Some people want to meet me virtually. If they need body work, what is body work? So one of the other things I do being integrative, as I do body work like craniosacral therapy and lymphatic drainage and massage as part of the form portion. We didn't talk a lot about what I mean when I say that, but I guess just think physical body. So there's ways that we can work with the physical body to bring it into more balance. And it's helpful to be with the body to do Reiki. I'm also a Reiki master. I don't need to be with them physically to do that. But things like that where I kind of need to be in the physical space, or I could have technology like brainwave entrainment with the brain tap. I could have infrared light therapy for the brain. And I need to travel to their home because in order for them to use the equipment that I have to bring it to them. So those are some of the reasons why I do so much traveling on the road.
The road is a crazy place. I'm with you there for sure. Because this is where people have the armor of their car and it's their super ego and it's just such a show of our society and the narcissism and the egoism and the bully behavior that has been so much displayed. And people again worship. I mean, when I was a young boy, people maybe had some Hollywood star or some soccer player or something like this on the wall, and we admired them for either their beauty or their abilities. Today's kids, they have some YouTube billionaire or business billionaire, or it just has to be a billionaire, no matter what. It could be a master criminal as long as he made a lot of cash. These are the heroes of our time, and it's totally scary when I see a lot of young people and they just filter everything only through the money. The money justifies everything. You can be mass murderer, but he makes a lot of money. And I that's the problem.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. What the heck is going on? Yeah.
What the heck is going on? Because, the sentence ends with mass murderer. There's nothing after it, it's just the end of the sentence.
Mm-hmm.
There's no but he's a millionaire. So it's really interesting generation coming up. And I guess this really you can see so strong in driving on the road. It's a funny thing that you're saying it, but this is where we actually really can see this crazy bully behavior right now.
Yeah, and they're behind their cars. So I don't know what people are thinking sometimes. Like, do you realize that the thing you're driving is 30,000 pounds of metal, and crashing it against other people's bodies is never a good idea? Not for any reason, not because, and these people that are doing it, it's just because they want to speed and they don't want you to be in their way, and they don't care if they hit you as they try to cut you off. They want you to know that you shouldn't be in their way. Like, it's an interesting consciousness to come across, but it's been more recent that I've kind of given myself a new perspective on that, because it would really get under my skin and it would really upset me. Every time it would happen, it would really upset me. And then one day I thought, well, what if you just bless him right now? It's like, part of me is like, well, I don't want to bless him. He just cut me off. And no. It's like, oh, okay. But what if you just bless him anyway? And it's like, well, yes, I can do that. I can bless him. It's like light to that person. I hope that they have more peace today. Yeah, I do. I hope that they feel more peaceful. And maybe because he cut me off today and I got to bless that today, maybe he will. Right? I can choose how I react to that or don't react to that.
I think this was the strongest lesson of today's show, because there's the whole world wisdom right here. Because there was why Christianity was established, was a whole concept, putting the other cheek. And there used to be Christian faith that's based on what you say. Before also this got totally changed in very odd directions, but I'm not going to go into that. because sometimes looking from across the sea, some things are very hard to understand, especially when you know where Christianity is coming from, and you know,
Yep.
the big thing that he did, Jesus Christ, was to kick the bank out of the temple, and that was his big thing, and that's why they killed him for. They didn't kill him for anything else except for the fact that he didn't want to have money in the church. So, you know, when we go back to the beginning and look at it from the user's manual, look at the world, and we say, whoa, somebody didn't read it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting how convoluted things can come out sometimes, and it can give you whiplash when you see things going on in the world and you're like, did you not hear what he said when he taught, right? He taught unconditional loving. He taught to love everyone. He taught, love, how you treat the...
Except bankers. He didn't like them at all.
Well, right.
You're aware of it, that early Christians for until the Renaissance were forbidden to lend money. There were no Christian banks. In the Dark Ages in Europe, it was for every Christian forbidden to lend money because it was immoral to give interest rates. That's how strong the belief was rooted in the origin of Christianity. It was totally, absolutely against Jesus' beliefs. The whole money thing, banking, money lending, was forbidden for Christians. Just, to go back on the beginning of the book.
Right.
But most probably today, if you would ask ChatGPT, they'll tell you that Jesus Christ was a communist.
Well, you never know what's going to happen next these days in 2025, do we, Phil?
But, I just can tell everybody, read the book. It's a page turn.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So sorry again for bringing things off the way, but so lovely to talk with an integrated person. You're almost a Renaissance woman. You're, as you said, all over the place. You've studied so many which ways. You have so many backgrounds. You have so many layers, and that's basically, I think, the main thing that people should take from this conversation. If we want to see us and others, you cannot just walk one road. And it's so funny because that's why I was so excited and giddy the whole podcast. That's not my usual me, because so rare that I have a globally learned person, a person that's willing to look at all the layers. And, I got a lot of bad emails because one of the things I'm saying regularly on my podcast is that I believe that a spiritual journey is an inward-outward movement. Yes, you can sit and read a book, but then go out there and, do missionary work or help the community. And then, yes, maybe come back and meditate and then go out and be a better husband.
Yes.
I get such a bad emails from people who are telling me, no, you can be a great spirit by just reading books. And I said, I don't think so. I'm so sorry. I think it needs the inward-outward process.
Movement.
Yes, movement. And people get quite grumpy with me when I say that.
That's okay. That's some of the beauty, though, Phil, is that we all are trained in the world to perceive differently. We're all different. We all perceive things a little bit different. And the way that I try to think about it, it's like there's a story about an elephant in the room, and there's 10 blind men all around. They all have blindfolds on. And somebody says, hey, I want you to tell me, what is this? And so somebody's at the ear, and he's like, oh, it's a manta ray. And somebody's at the tail, and they're like, oh, it's a snake. And somebody's at the hip, and oh, it's a lion. Based on what they were touching and experiencing, they weren't wrong to make those connections, but they weren't seeing the whole picture either. If you zoom out and you look at everyone in the room, everyone's conglomerate opinion would come together and they would see that it's an elephant that's in the room. But we all go through life kind of trained with different perceptions, different experiences, different relationships, and that kind of molds us. And we have an opportunity to Do we want to be different? Do we want to think different? Do we want to be open to perceiving things a little different? I tend to think I'm always open. I want to always be open to consider your point of view. That doesn't mean I have to subscribe to it. But I do try to live my life in such a way that I consider that everyone's point of view is valuable. And I do believe that. So I think that all those people, even though you're getting all those nasty emails, and I'm so sorry about that, I think whatever they have to think is valid. But they don't need you to validate the way that they feel or perceive. That's already there inside of them. And it's already okay. They don't have to stand up for that. Their truth is truth in its full being.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sarah Young. Everybody out there who feels out of sync, who want to have a doctor who finally looks them as a real person with full eyes. And I think there's millions of people out there who actually would want to be seen and want to have somebody that will sit with them and listen to them and give them the time they need to express their suffering and taken seriously, most of all. I think this sounds like a great service. And just to say this, I'm a podcaster, so I love every email, good or bad.
Wonderful, yes.
I want a reaction.
Very good.
Thank you so very
Many
much for coming.
blessings to you. Thank you so much.